The friars of San Giovanni Rotondo often whispered among themselves, "No one truly knows what Padre Pio endures when night falls, except God himself." For when the final bell faded into silence and the corridors of the friary sank into stillness, the 5 wounds on Padre Pio's body would begin to ache and bleed anew, as if he were being crucified all over again. His nights were not rest, they were a pilgrimage through pain and visions, where grace and darkness clashed with terrifying force. Many knew of his miracles, his prophecies, his extraordinary prayers, but few understood that behind every grace was a hidden battlefield. Every day he stood between heaven and hell. Every night demons assaulted him, pushing, striking, mocking, trying to suffocate his spirit and force him into despair. And in the midst of these torturous hours, God granted him visions that no ordinary soul could withstand. On that particular night, Padre Pio entered the small friary chapel, a place where candles flickered gently before the crucifix. He knelt slowly, pressing his wounded hands together over his rosary. A fresh wave of agony shot up his arms, shaking his entire body. Yet he continued to pray, whispering through clenched teeth, "Lord, have mercy on the souls who need you most." He thought it would be another night of silent suffering, another offering of pain for the salvation of souls. But within minutes, the chapel began to change. The air grew colder, the shadows in the corners thickened, and somewhere, faintly at first, came the sound of a woman weeping. A presence had entered the chapel, one neither fully of this world nor fully freed from the next. A vision was about to unfold, a vision that would shake even Padre Pio. And that is where our story begins. The friary slept under a thick veil of silence when Padre Pio pushed open the wooden door of the chapel. It was well past midnight. The world outside was wrapped in darkness, and the only movement within the friary was the steady flicker of candlelight spilling faintly from the sanctuary lamp. Padre Pio walked slowly, each step measured, as if his body carried not only the weight of exhaustion, but the weight of unseen battles. His wounds had bled more than usual that day. The cloth wrapped around his hands was still damp, and every pulse of his heartbeat sent a sting through the 5 wounds that felt like fire under torn skin. But he did not come to rest. He came to pray, to offer the remnants of his strength for souls who had no one to pray for them. He knelt before the tabernacle, lowering himself with great effort. The cold stone floor bit into his knees, but he welcomed the discomfort. For him, pain had become a language, one God understood, one he had learned to speak in silence. He pressed his wounded hands together, closing his eyes. "Lord, receive my suffering. Use it as you will." The chapel was still. The candles trembled only slightly, as though breathing with him. His lips moved in slow rhythm, forming each word of the rosary. As he prayed, the physical world began to recede. The glow of the candle softened, the shadows stretched, and the beating of his heart became distant. He felt the familiar pull, the gentle, irresistible tug that often came during his deepest prayer. He was slipping into ecstasy. His breathing grew shallow. His senses withdrew from the world around him. The silence deepened until it was no longer merely silence, but a vast, luminous stillness. His soul rose, untethered from the heaviness of his suffering body. But then, a sound. Soft at first, thin as a thread. A sob. Padre Pio's eyelids fluttered, and the trance-like stillness faltered. His senses returned sharply, as if snapped back by a sudden jolt. He remained kneeling, but his head lifted slightly. His eyes opened into the dim chapel. There it was again. A woman sobbing, fragile, trembling, soaked in sorrow. He turned slowly, scanning the shadows that pooled beneath the benches and the corners where candlelight could not fully reach. His heart tightened. The friary was locked at night. No one should have been here. No one could have entered without his knowledge. Yet the sobbing grew clearer. Padre Pio squinted toward the back of the chapel. The farthest pews were swallowed in darkness. The sanctuary lamp cast a thin red glow, but it could not illuminate the figure that was slowly, hesitantly taking shape at the edge of his vision. A silhouette, small, frail. A woman, seated alone near the last row. She was hunched over, shoulders trembling violently as if each breath hurt her. Her head was bowed, hidden beneath the veil of what seemed to be a religious habit. And though the chapel was enclosed, though there was no wind, her habit fluttered as if touched by something cold. Padre Pio felt his hairs rise on the back of his neck. This was no ordinary presence. "My child, who are you?" he whispered. The woman did not answer. She continued to weep, every sob echoing painfully in the vast, hollow chapel. Her form seemed almost translucent, present yet not completely anchored in the world of the living. Then Padre Pio felt it. A shift in the air, a heaviness, a pressure that did not belong to prayer or peace. The sensation was unmistakable. The spiritual atmosphere had changed. It thickened with a coldness he knew all too well, a coldness he had battled all countless nights. The presence of darkness. It clung to the corners, seeped into the cracks of the stone floor, circled around the trembling woman like a hungry shadow waiting for permission to pounce. And the closer Padre Pio looked, the more he realized the flicker of candlelight behind her bent unnaturally, as if recoiling from something unseen. His breath quickened. This was a soul in danger. This was a soul being pursued. With effort, he arose from his knees. His legs felt weak, his wounds throbbed violently, but he ignored the pain. Step by step, he approached the woman. "My child, you are not alone," he said gently, but with a firmness that carried authority. "Speak to me. Why are you here?" Slowly, the figure lifted her head. Her face, when it emerged from the shadows, was pale, almost luminous. Her eyes, filled with fear and sorrow, glistened with tears that did not fall naturally, but seemed to shimmer like droplets suspended between worlds. She looked directly at him, and in that moment, Padre Pio understood. This woman did not belong to the world of the living. The darkness behind her pulsed, as if reacting to the awareness between them. A wave of cold air swept across the chapel, extinguishing one of the candles with a sharp hiss. Padre Pio swallowed. The battle had begun. Padre Pio stood still, heart pounding in a slow, heavy rhythm, as he looked into the sorrow-filled eyes of the woman at the back of the chapel. Her presence was ethereal, almost fragile, like a candle trying desperately not to be extinguished by the swirling darkness behind her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, in a trembling voice soft as drifting ash, the woman whispered, "Padre, do you not recognize me?" The words froze him. Something in her tone, familiar, pleading, pierced the haze of fear surrounding her. Padre Pio narrowed his eyes, studying her face beneath the dim light. The veil, the shape of her features, the sorrow that clung to her. And then it struck him like a sudden burst of wind. "Maria? Pia?" He stepped closer, his breath catching. "Signor Maria Pia Giulietta Giudice? Is that you?" The woman nodded weakly. At that confirmation, a shockwave of grief and astonishment washed through Padre Pio. Signor Maria Pia, one of his spiritual daughters, a Capuchin nun he had once guided with gentle counsel and prayer, had died years earlier. He had mourned her, blessed her, and entrusted her soul into the hands of God. Yet here she was, not in flesh, not in peace, but in anguish. She clasped her hands to her chest, her fingers passing faintly through the folds of her habit, revealing her immaterial form. "Padre, I come from the place of purification, from the fires of purgatory." A chill slithered through the chapel, as if the very stone walls listened. Padre Pio approached her slowly, reverently. "My daughter, why has the Lord allowed you to come here? Why appear in such torment?" Tears spilled down her translucent cheeks, not normal tears, but shimmering droplets that evaporated before reaching the floor. "Because I am not yet free, Padre. My soul is bound by the weight of my faults. I am purified, yes, but the fire burns deep. I could not cry out, even if I wished, but tonight the Lord permitted me to come to you."
She pressed a hand to her heart, trembling. "I come seeking mercy, your mercy and his." Padre Pio's own wounds pulsed painfully, as though responding to the spiritual suffering laid bare before him. He knelt beside her pew, keeping a respectful distance. "Tell me, child, what holds your soul in the flame?" For a moment, she hesitated, shame clouding her features. Then she spoke. "My sins were not grave in the eyes of the world, but they were wounds I never fully repented of, hidden faults, quiet selfishness." Her voice cracked. "I lacked charity, Padre. I served God, yes, but with moments of hardness, moments where my pride bled into my vocation. I judged sisters who struggled. I withheld kindness when I should have offered compassion." Her hand twisted in torment. "And there was something else, something deeper." Padre Pio leaned slightly closer, urging her gently. "Speak without fear. God sees all." Her lips trembled. "I carried affection in my heart, forbidden affection. I hid a tender love for a priest, a love I never confessed, never acted upon, but it lingered like a shadow, threatening my purity of intention. I resented him when he did not notice me. I envied the holiness others saw in him. These small flames, born of longing and jealousy, became chains in the afterlife." The chapel fell utterly silent. Only the faint crackle of the sanctuary lamp filled the void. Padre Pio closed his eyes for a moment, deeply moved. He knew that even small sins, when clung to, could weigh heavily on a soul striving for perfection. But Sister Maria Pia wasn't finished. She lifted her tear-filled eyes to him. In my final days, I hid my doubts from the sisters. I let fear cloud my trust in God. My faith wavered, Padre, even as my body faded. Now, in purgatory, every imperfection burns away slowly, painfully, as if each one were a thread being pulled from the fabric of my soul. Her voice dropped to a whisper. But the worst is the loneliness, the longing for God that aches deeper than any earthly wound. Padre Pio felt tears sting his own eyes. My poor daughter, the suffering you speak of is real, but so is the mercy of Christ. Why come to me? What does the Lord ask? Her expression softened into a pleading desperation. Padre, I cannot ascend until the weight is lifted. I need your prayers, your sacrifices, your masses. Only grace can extinguish the fire that clings to me. Please, offer the holy sacrifice for my soul. Intercede for me, Father. You once guided me on earth. Guide me now in this place between shadows and light. Padre Pio placed a trembling hand over his heart, where the wound throbbed like a living flame. He looked at her with the tenderness of a father and the fierce devotion of a shepherd protecting his flock. Maria Pia, you will not be abandoned. A faint light flickered behind her, as if her hope had kindled the small flame. But the darkness lurking near her feet pulsed again, reminding them both that her journey was far from over. By God's grace, Padre Pio whispered, I will pray, I will offer Mass for your soul, and heaven will not ignore the cry of a repentant daughter. Her face softened, relief, gratitude, and fragile peace mixing all at once. But even as she breathed out a quiet, "Thank you, Padre," the darkness behind her thickened, for mercy had been invoked, and darkness does not release its captives without a fight.
For a brief moment, the chapel felt still, fragile, like a thin veil stretched over something monstrous. Signor Maria Pia's trembling form flickered faintly in the dim light, and Padre Pio's heart ached at her suffering. But then he saw it, a shape behind her, a darkness that did not belong to any shadow cast by candle or architecture. It clung to her like a silhouette with no source, a mass of writhing blackness coiling up the back of the pew. As Padre Pio focused, its edges sharpened, elongated limbs, a twisted posture, eyes like burning pits staring straight at him from behind her veil. The demon had been hiding, waiting, feeding on her fear, and now it stepped forward, not with feet, but with a sliding, unnatural glide that made the air ripple around it. Padre Pio froze, his breath caught, his wounds flared with sudden agony as if invisible nails were being driven deeper into his flesh. Signor Maria Pia gasped as the darkness loomed over her shoulder. "Padre, Father, do you see it? Please, tell me I'm not alone." Her voice dissolved into a sob. Padre Pio swallowed hard. "Yes, daughter, I see it." The demon straightened, its mouth opened, revealing rows of jagged shapes that glistened like obsidian shards. And then it spoke.
A voice like cracking bones, scraping metal, and low laughter blended into one. "She belongs to me." The words struck the chapel like a blow. Sister Maria Pia shrieked, covering her face. The temperature dropped so sharply that the candle flames bent sideways, struggling to stay alive. Padre Pio staggered from the force of the demonic presence.
His stigmata erupted with pain so intense it blurred his vision. He grabbed the back of a pew to stay upright as blood seeped through the soaked bandages of his hands. "No," he whispered through gritted teeth. "She is marked for heaven, not for you." The demon hissed, a long, stretching sound that made the floor tremble. "Marked? Then why does she burn? Why does she tremble? Why does she weep at the sight of her own sin? I have every right to her, her doubts, her desire, her envy, her secret longing for forbidden affection. She fed them, she hid them, she cherished them, and I claim what she nurtured." Sister Maria Pia burst into tears, shaking uncontrollably. "I didn't mean to. I tried to repent. I tried." "Tried is not enough, little lamb." The demon leaned close to her ear. "Your heart was mine before your body even died, and now I am here to finish what was started." Padre Pio felt something tear inside him, an inner wound deeper than the physical ones. A righteous fury surged through him, intertwined with compassion. "She confessed her faults in sorrow," he said, voice low but firm. "Christ's mercy covers what she offers to him in truth. You cannot claim what heaven purifies." The demon's body writhed, convulsing with rage. She feared God. She wavered at the hour of her death. She doubted his love, his presence, his promise. That doubt tasted sweet. It was the flavor of despair, and it belongs to me. Padre Pio fell to his knees as pain exploded through his side, the wound matching the spear wound of Christ. He clutched his ribs, breath shuddering. The vision around him deepened. He saw it, not just the demon, but the moment of her death. Sister Maria Pia, lying in a narrow bed, a fever burning through her body, her rosary slipping from weak fingers. Whispers, "What if I am not worthy? What if I am lost? What if God turns away?" A final temptation, a whisper from the darkness, a doubt she clung to for just one heartbeat too long, and the demon had waited for that moment.
Padre Pio gasped as the vision faded. His body shivered with shock. Signor Maria Pia sobbed harder. "Padre, I was afraid. I let fear swallow my trust. And now he says my soul is his." "Lies," Padre Pio barked, surprising even himself. The chapel vibrated with the authority in his voice. "Fear does not condemn you. Only sin clung to without repentance does. You came in tears, in humility, yearning for God. That alone tears you from his grasp." The demon recoiled, hissing. Smoke curled from its form like burning tar. But it was not defeated, not yet. It slammed a clawed hand against the pew. The wood cracked, splintering. The candles flickered wildly. Padre Pio forced himself upright, though his legs shook. "You will not take her," he said, voice steady despite the agony. "For she is on the path of mercy, and mercy is stronger than your flames." Signor Maria Pia clung to her rosary, trembling but hopeful. The demon let out a guttural roar that echoed through the chapel, shaking the very air. This was no longer just a visitation. It was becoming a battle. The chapel felt colder than before, as if the shadows themselves had taken a breath. Padre Pio held his ground, one hand pressed against the bleeding wound in his side, the other resting gently on the trembling nun before him. Sir Maria Pia kept her gaze lowered, as though afraid that looking directly at him would cause her fragile form to crack apart. "Figlia mia," Padre Pio whispered, his voice roughened by fatigue and pain. "Tell me what happened before your death. What brought your soul to such torment?" For a moment she didn't answer. Her lips trembled, and a faint wisp of breath escaped her, almost a sob. "Father, I was afraid, more afraid than I had ever been in my life." I clasped my hands together, as if she still felt the texture of her rosary there. I doubted my vocation. I questioned the path I had promised to follow. The fear consumed me, and I let it. Behind her, the shadow stirred. A low growl rippled through the chapel as the demonic presence shifted, its edges twisting like smoke in a violent wind. "She doubted him," it hissed. "She chose herself. She belongs to us." Padre Pio clenched his jaw as pain surged from the wounds in his hands, burning like liquid fire. The more the demon spoke, the deeper the nails of suffering seemed to drive into his flesh. "Silence!" he commanded, though his voice quivered. Sir Maria Pia flinched, but continued, compelled not by fear, but by a desperate yearning for release. "I didn't intend to turn from God. I didn't want to betray my vows, but my heart, it was restless. There was a priest, kind, gentle. I admired him more than I should have. I let affection cloud my devotion. It frightened me, Father. I felt unworthy." "You were human," Padre Pio said softly. "Temptation is not sin. Falling is not final." But the demon laughed, a harsh, metallic sound that shook the candles in their sconces. Human? Her humanity dragged her down. Her weakness was delightful. She wanted what was not hers. She doubted her God. "She belongs to me." Sister Maria Pia covered her ears, though the voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Tears streaked down her cheeks, glowing faintly in the dim light. "I didn't mean to offend the Lord. I felt guilty even as I lived, and when death came suddenly, I wasn't ready. I faced his purity with so much stain on my soul." Padre Pio lifted her chin gently. Her face was pale, translucent, as if caught between this world and the next. "Listen to me, child. God's mercy is not a fragile thing. It is stronger than your fear, stronger than your failures, stronger even than the accusations of this beast." At that, the demon surged forward, but an invisible barrier held it back. Its form twisted against the unseen line, snarling with frustration. "She doubted him! She rejected his grace! She loved a man more than her God!" The words were daggers, and Padre Pio felt them not in his mind, but in his wounds. The stigmata split open, blood warm and fresh beneath the bandages. His breath hitched, but he didn't step back. "Enough," he said, voice firm now, strengthened by something beyond himself. "You speak only to destroy, but God speaks to restore." At that, the demon recoiled slightly, as though the very name of God singed it. Padre Pio turned again to the nun. "Tell me, Maria Pia, in the last moments of your life, what was in your heart?" She hesitated. The shadows throbbed with tension. "I begged for mercy. Even as fear overwhelmed me, I begged him not to abandon me. I said, 'Lord, I am weak, but you are strong.' I didn't know if it was enough. I didn't know if he still wanted me." "He always wants you," Padre Pio said. His eyes shone with compassion, despite the agony ravaging his body. Christ died for the weak, the lost, the trembling. He died for souls exactly like yours. The demon shrieked, an inhuman, grating sound. "Lies! She is mine! Her fear gave her to me! Her doubts chained her to darkness!" Padre Pio stepped forward, bearing the full weight of his pain, each movement tearing deeper into the holy wounds he carried. "By his wounds," he said through clenched teeth, "you are refuted." Light burst from the stigmata, not bright, but steady, like the glow of an ember that refuses to die.
Suor Maria Pia fell to her knees. "Father, is there hope for me?" Padre Pio placed a trembling hand upon her head. "There is always hope. Your repentance is your shield. Your sorrow is your ladder out of the flames. And the Mass I will offer for you will open the gates you cannot open alone." Her breath shuddered with relief. The demon emitted a final hate-filled snarl, retreating to the far end of the chapel like smoke being drawn into a void. Padre Pio exhaled, exhausted, half collapsing against the pew behind him. Pain radiated through his body, but compassion steadied his soul. "Rise, child. Mercy has already begun its work." The air inside the chapel thickened, as if heaven and hell were pressing against its walls. Padre Pio, trembling from exhaustion and the burning pain of his wounds, lifted his rosary high. The beads glimmered faintly, ordinary to the eye, yet in the unseen realm blazing like a weapon of fire. The demon screeched, its shadowy form whipping violently across the sanctuary. Darkness spiraled around it, curling like smoke, seeking to choke the air itself. "You cannot take her!" it bellowed. Padre Pio ignored the roar and began to pray. Ave Maria. The first Hail Mary burst forth like a column of white light. The demon recoiled. Sister Maria Pia fell to her knees, sobbing, "Lord, forgive me, please." Her spectral form flickered, as if torn between two worlds. Another Hail Mary, another flash of radiant force. The darkness thinned. Padre Pio turned to her gently. "Daughter, pray with me. Join your voice to mine. Grace multiplies when hearts unite." Through her tears she nodded. Their voices joined, hers trembling, his steady. With every prayer the shadows shrank farther. With every invocation of the Blessed Mother, the demonic presence weakened, cornered and stripped of its power. The final Hail Mary fell like a hammer of pure light. A roar split the chapel, the demon collapsing into itself, folding into a shrinking void before vanishing completely, leaving behind only the echo of rage swallowed by nothingness. A holy stillness settled. In the vision, Padre Pio extended his hand toward the kneeling nun. The wounds in his palm glowed softly, not with pain now, but with glory. "Figlia mia, you have been forgiven." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The cold dissolved. Warmth, gentle, divine, alive, filled the chapel like rising dawn. Sister Maria Pia's face transformed. No longer twisted by fear, it softened, radiant with peace. A glow enveloped her, lifting her slowly from the floor. She brought her hands together in gratitude. "Father, because of you, I am free from purgatory." A serene smile graced her lips, and like a candle blown by a gentle breath, she faded into the light. Padre Pio bowed his head, whispering a final prayer for her soul.
Even in the silence of a dark chapel, heaven still fights for every soul. Padre Pio's suffering became someone's doorway to eternal light. If you want more of his chilling real visions, follow now so you don't miss the next story.